Hello, everybody. Welcome to our engineering book club first meeting. It's it's a part of a much larger channel, Learn Software Architecture. What's the origin of our engineering book club? During the first episode of Learn Software Architecture, we mentioned a lot of different books. And there was a question whether we could discuss some of them during our next episodes. And I thought that would be a valuable idea for the community to organize meetings to discuss specifically the books. So right now it's our first episode and we're gonna discuss Staff Engineering by Will Larson. And this image that you see right now is the meeting of people that discuss different books. This image was designed by our beloved ChatGPT, and it's how it imagines that our meeting looks like. So I hope that there will be a lot of different discussions, there will be deep insights, and a lot of questions asked. Before we jump in to discuss the book, let me first introduce myself. My name is Radek Maziarka. I work as a solution architect and engineering manager, currently as a trainer and consultant for product companies and software houses. My current area of interest is system engineering. So how to build, develop, and expand companies that will be able to produce great products in an effective manner. I specialize in techniques around product development and domain-driven design to build long-lasting products, both from business and technical perspective. I originate from .NET community, so Azure Cloud is my first cloud of choice. You probably came here from LinkedIn, but if not, I encourage you to follow me on LinkedIn and to join my technical newsletter, currently in Polish. I try to share as much knowledge as I can to the community. So if you want to learn more, to discuss different ideas, please follow me on social media. And what's the plan of today's meeting? The plan for engineering book club meeting is as follows. So first, we're gonna discuss what is this book about. Staff Engineering by Will Larson, and there will be a short exercise to be conducted by you. So I strongly encourage you to join me on Miro. Then there will be another part regarding a table of content. So what this book consists of, and there will be another exercise. And at the end, but not at the end, but the largest part of this discussion is my key takeaways about this book, and we'll be able to discuss these takeaways. You will be able to ask questions. I'll try to answer them. And of course, at the end, there will be some question and answer section, some summary, some additional discussions. And I strongly encourage you to join me on Miro, so you will be able to participate in exercises. Okay, so we're gonna jump to discuss the book in just a second, but first let me introduce you to some concepts behind the exercises. So why we're gonna have this exercise during our meetup? There is in our community there is this leader, Denis Kahuk. He is a technical trainer focused on TDD, DDD, and software architecture, and also he is a growth mindset coach. I recommend you to follow him on LinkedIn. And why should you do it? Denis organized cyclic book club meeting around the different books, of course, like around our industry, so mostly around software architecture, about lean development, etc. And I've been involved with one of his cohorts, and probably about it was, if I recall it correctly, about lean development book. And there were, besides the book, there were a few very important insights for me around reading books that I want to share with you during our meetup. It taught me this book club taught me that we should start reading a book by asking ourselves a few questions. But first, why is this book interesting to me? So why I am willing to read this book? Why I'm like interested in this book? And then what are the questions that this book should answer for me? So like I'm not starting this book because I just have free time, because of course usually we don't have so much free time to just spare them on reading valuable books, but I have usually a few questions that are like important right now for me. And this book should answer these questions. If we start with these questions, we can read much faster, and we could get much more value of the book, because we will try to answer these specific questions. And this is something that I want to conduct during our meeting, that we're gonna have a few exercises regarding questions about the staff engineer book. So wait for a second, and we're gonna have these questions. We're gonna have this exercise. Okay. So let's jump to the actual book. So we're gonna discuss today Staff Engineer by Will Larson, and I think that it's wise to start by introducing to you who the Will Larson is. So Will Larson is an engineering leader from companies like Yahoo, like Dig, like Stripe. So a very successful leaders in our tech industry. And right now, Will moved his attention to move his focus to helping companies in expanding their engineering work, try to improve different organizations, and he's trying to share his knowledge by writing different books. And first, and probably foremost, the book that he is mostly known by is System of Engineering Management. So this book focused on how to understand the role of engineering manager in the companies. And the second book of his is, of course, Staff Engineer, that we're going to discuss today. His third book is Engineering Executive Primer, which was released recently. I read this book, and although it's very valuable, it's focused mostly on the higher executives. So I think that not a lot of people will get a lot of value out of that. And let's jump to our point of interest of today's meeting. So of course we are going to discuss Staff Engineer book. So what is this book about? So this book describes the distinction of role within organizations, that at some point organization came to a realization that there shouldn't be only one way to be to promote people within the organization. Because not everybody should be a manager of the people around, but there should be another path to be a person who is focused on technical aspects of the product on a much broader range within organization. And that was the base of the role of the path of the individual contributor of a staff class. So we're gonna discuss today the role of staff engineer and the role above. So what are the responsibilities of the staff engineer, and what are the different challenges of this job? And within the book we have a few the book is like divided into some areas. That first is focused on role and archetypes. So what are the different, how this role of a staff engineer differs between different companies. So there are different shades of this role within across our industry, and we can choose which which archetypes is best in our environment. Then there is a part about responsibilities and challenges, so how to operate as a staff engineer, what are the different like challenges, both from technical perspective, from organizational perspective, how to tackle them, where to try to find some help. And at the end, there are a lot of interesting case studies from experienced professionals across the globe, from Dig, from Stripe, from Dropbox. Very valuable insights from professionals. Yes, and so this is the book, like from the cover. So this is something that you can get from the just reading through some like basic materials. And because you joined this episode, I have a short question, short exercise to you. Why does it matter? Why is it book like interesting to you? What is like interesting that you joined this episode right now and you wanted to hear something, to listen to my insights? Please write down these questions right here. There will be a short exercise, about 2-3 minutes, just to join the board. You can change the name here and write down your questions here. So please join me in the Miro board. I will try to bring you here to me and change the name and write down your question. Write down your questions, and there will be probably like 3 minutes. Do not hesitate. Just write your name here and question here. 3 minutes. Go on. I see that there are a few people here, but everybody's hesitant. What should they do? So you should just change your name here to something, yeah, and then some question about the book. Okay, I see that one person is already writing. I encourage the rest of you to join and write as well. Okay, I see that somebody joined as well. Great. If there is anybody to join, I strongly encourage you to join. So there is another minute, and if the person who is writing the question would like to ask this question, to mention this question on the stream, you can join the Streamyard. I will invite you to the studio. Okay. So 3 minutes almost passed. I'm gonna reveal cards. Okay, there is a question from Adam regarding becoming a technical leader and how to support his team. There's a question. There is a requirement from Piotr about clarifying this role and what to focus on being on a staff level. Oh yes, so these are great questions, great inquiries about this book, and it will make it easier to go through the table, to go through the content of the book, to focus on the most important aspects of this book. So let's jump into the content of this book, because this book is full of interesting insight that could be valuable to you. So this book contains five main chapters. So first, it's very broadly about the staff engineer and about different archetypes. So what these archetypes are about, how they work, what's the calendar, what's the typical calendar of a specific archetype. This is the very insightful part of the book, because you can even predict what your work will look like in the future. Then there is a big part related to operating at staff level, and will describe different responsibilities, different challenges, but also how to tackle these challenges and how to move beyond them to make the change within the organization. Yes. Then we have two parts, quite smaller, but if you combine them together are pretty valuable, about getting this title and also deciding to switch companies. So how to become a staff engineer. So how to get there, how to find your sponsor, what's the staff product is about, how to get there, how to get to the people who are working on a much like executive level, and then whether deciding to switch companies, what's the option to find the right company, and how to interview for this kind of role. Yes, and it would be extremely valuable if you are looking for such a position right now. And then at the end, we have a lot of different stories about staff engineering that you can get the information from trenches, what it's like to operate as a staff engineer. As you can see, there are here we have a lot of industry companies that are very well known, but they operate on the different markets in the different niches. So you have Stripe about payments, Mailchimp about sending mails, Etsy about selling goods, Auth0 about internal authorization. So a lot of insightful stories, and at the end we have different resources where how to put the staff plus engineers into the organization, and how to manage these people. These people are deciding what the interview loop is about. So mostly focus on folks who are trying to implement this staff role within their organizations. So as you can see, there are plenty of different chapters that are packed with knowledge. And my question to you right now is, what from this whole list is interesting to you? Because based on this information, you will be able to focus on the material that will be most valuable to you, that will bring you most benefits to you regarding time spent on the actual book. So there is another exercise, short exercise about these chapters. So please write down what chapters are interesting to you. please write down also why are they important to you. Write them down. Write this information on card. There will be another 3 minutes. You can scroll through the table of content and write down your questions regarding specific chapters. As before, the same as before, I encourage you to join me on Miro to write down your your insights, your questions regarding specific chapters. There is still plenty of time, 1 minute and a half. I see that Piotr is still writing. If you are here on LinkedIn, on YouTube, I encourage you to join me. The link is below the video. Okay. I see that nobody is writing right now. I'm turning off private mode. Yeah, I see that our guests here, Piotr and Adam, are focused on the different chapters from a book, and it's pretty like interesting that you like throughout the whole book you can be interested in the different part of this book, and it says us a very like important lesson that not the whole book can be valuable for us, and it's okay not to read the whole book if we are not interested in this part. So if we went through the book like that, we highlight the most important chapters, we can focus on them to actually get the most value out of the book in the most effective manner. Okay, so right now let's jump into my key takeaways from this book, and we can discuss these key insights during the presentation, and later on we'll have some summary. So there will be 6 key insights for me, and for each of these insights there is some part regarding asking questions. So if you want to ask questions about this specific insight, please write it down, and we're gonna discuss them at the end. So my first and probably most important insight for all folks who read the book is connected to different archetypes. Will Larson in his book describes 4 archetypes of staff engineer that you can find in companies. first archetype is probably most known for you is tech lead. So tech lead is responsible for operations of a single team. He or she cooperates with different roles and different stakeholders to deliver team's goal. Tech lead is responsible more for the technical part, but also for the delivery part of a team, of a single team. Sometimes tech leads staff engineers which have this tech lead archetype is sometimes called also a delivery lead of a specific team. And some of you can argue that staff engineer and tech lead is a different role, is a different set of responsibilities, and I can agree up to a point here that in some companies the role of staff engineer and the tech lead is a different one, and in some companies staff engineer work as a tech lead. So as usual in our industry, like nothing is set in stone, and these definitions differ between different companies. So second archetype of staff engineer is architect. So staff engineer works as an architect across different teams to guide them in a common technical direction. So compared to tech lead who was focused on a single team, architect has a much broader area of interest, and architects coaches, mentor, helps different team, but instead of forcing specific discussion. So we want to leave this metaphor of the architect being an architect from an ivory tower behind us, and architect staff engineer that worked as an architect is a person who is not imposing decisions on the team, but rather helps them to make the right decision at a specific moment of time. The third archetype that was described by Will Larson is solver. So solver focuses on problems identified by the leadership as critical, but without a clear solution or with a high risk. So we don't want to delegate this problem to the specific team, because there is high chance of failure, and team would spend too much time tackling this problem instead of delivering value. So we want to have the person who will be focused mostly on solving this problem to some point and transferring the knowledge to the specific team. And I think that the good metaphor of this solver from a military industry would be a parachuter. So we as parachuters, we are jumping to a specific area that is unknown, that is unclear. We investigate it. We try to understand what is what. We try to gain as much knowledge as we can, and we return to our base to share the information and then to delegate the responsibility to some other part. So solver works mostly like this, to try to tackle the most the problem that contain no specific solution, and try to delegate the problem when it's much more clear. And the last archetype that was described was the right hand. And the right hand cooperates close with the leader to solve most essential problems. And this is the metaphor that was described by Will Larson, that this role is usually compared to the role of the Hand of the King in Game of Thrones. So you cooperate closely with your leader, for example, with your VP, to solve the specific problem that your leader comes across in their organizational journey. So if you have if this leader have a specific problem, they can delegate this problem to you. You act as the right hand. And as you can see, we have 4 different archetypes, but it's not like that we have only one archetype within a company. We can mix these archetypes to have a different different shades of the staff engineering within a single company. And later on during story time, we're gonna discuss a story regarding this mix-up of the different roles within organizations. So this is about this is what I wanted to share about archetypes. Are there any questions? Okay, if not, we move quickly to discuss first part of the book connected to responsibilities, and the chapter that was most valuable for me. So it was connecting about working on what matters. All the images are created by ChatGPT. This is how ChatGPT imagines working on what matters. So what is about working on what matters? The wheel mentions that we should understand where the greatest impact is as staff engineer and focus solely on that point. I can identify to this idea because me as a consultant, I usually want to find where I should put my effort to bring the most value to the actual company. And what is connected to that is that some problems are not sexy, so some problems are not very developing. You need to focus on some small details, or you need to focus on organizational problems, but still you need to focus on these specific problems because they are mostly valuable. And what is connected to that is that you should delegate the work that can't be done by somebody else, because your time is limited and you have a specific range of skills. And if you can delegate specific work to the particular team, you should do it and focus on the task that requires your skills solely. And then the interesting insight that I had from this chapter is that working on what matters is connected to product mindset. It really like popped up during this chapter that you need to understand your customers as a person who has the product mindset, and when you are a staff engineer, your customers are other developers, and you need to understand their pains, what are they struggling with, where are they losing most of their time, to actually focus on that problem instead of working that is like interesting to you but not giving so much benefits to the overall company. And based on that, we understand that that staff engineer works on the part that are maybe not sexy, but brings a lot of value to the actual company. There are no questions. I encourage you to write down this question, and we can discuss them during the presentation. So another part about being a staff engineer is connected to managing technical quality, and I really like the spectrum that Will shared in his book. So as a staff engineer, you need to manage the high technical quality of your teams that you cooperate with. As you can see on the slide, ChatGPT doesn't maintain the high technical quality because there are a lot of problems within the image, and you can spot them right away. So what the managing technical quality is about? It's about adapting your way according to the situation, because some problems are pretty easy, and you can describe them as a low-hanging fruit. So you should just identify these hotspots and tackle them. So just put out the smaller fires. Like, it's pretty okay not to build anything complicated. Just solve it to some extent and will be okay. Then, if you see some recurring patterns, we can adopt and share best practices across different teams. Then you can check that that some teams are compromising quality for the sake of speed. And in such a situation, you need to try to find and prioritize highest leverage points that preserves quality, because it's very easy to lose quality because it's not tangible. And people will try to optimize to deliver quickly, but losing quality pretty fast. So it's pretty important to find where this most important part of our aspect of our quality is dropping down, and focus on that point. Then in the specific areas, it's worth to measure specific aspects of your technical quality to find places to focus on. When you have a specific aspect in a quantified value, it's much easier to discuss it with different folks, with the technical folks, with the product folks, and to sell the idea of improving this specific aspect to a certain point. At the end, we have a biggest gun to pull out from our toolbox. It's about running a dedicated quality program. So you will act as a project manager to solve a specific quality program across different teams. That will take a few weeks, a few months. For example, improve CI/CD pipeline, or improve security in our company, etc. And what is a very important thing is that you can choose from the spectrum, because it's not that you should always run a dedicated quality program, or you should always identify hotspots. You can choose what's the best solution in a specific moment. Okay, I see that there is a question here connected to the previous slide, so I can focus on that right now. I see it's more the comment than a question. I like that you pointed out that it's worth finding some important things that are important in the person, not necessarily now. Yes, so there are some problems that you should focus right now, because there are they can pose a threat to your company, but still there are some problems that are very viable to solve in the longer run, and you need to weigh these two options, what you should focus on. Okay. Then for folks who like to start as a staff engineer, there is a very interesting part which gave me a lot of value related to starting as a staff. Layer LAR will mentions that we need to make an impact. We must be invited to the specific conversation, the specific meetings, because if we cannot share our insights. We cannot sell our point, our solution to the people that can make a decision. And to actually make it, we should take into account that there is no single room, there is no single meeting to join, but rather we should sell ourselves as somebody who is wanted, who is valuable to be a part of a discussion, and then people will try to invite us to the specific meeting, we try to force ourselves into specific meeting. So we should work on selling ourselves that we are valuable, then we actually can solve specific problems, and by that people will try to invite us, will try to introduce us to the different people to solve specific problem within organization. And another part of this starting as a staff is connected to finding your sponsor, because for such a role, when you work across different teams, you need to have somebody who will vouch for you. Without that, there will be no transfer of trust between different people. So people wouldn't know whether they can trust you in the specific problems. So because of that, it's really worth working on a problem that are beneficial not only to you but also to your leader and to skip your level manager. So if you want to work as a staff engineer and your leader is a director, engineering director, so probably there is some VP of engineering, and you can also try to understand their needs, their struggles, to try to adapt your way of working to solve these problems as well. Combining it all together, we as staff engineers, we should try to be valuable, try to be seen as valuable within the organization, both from different stakeholders and also for our leaders. Because of that, we'll be able to join specific discussion and make a point, make a change within organization. Okay. If there are no questions, I will jump in to two stories that these stories were most interesting, the most valuable from my point of view. And I encourage you to go also through different ones to get some insights as well. So first story is from Bert Fan, where when he worked as senior staff engineer at Slack, and he wrote that I tend to focus less on specific pieces of technology and more on what the technology is enabling. And I find this sentence very important for different staff engineers, because you are working more as enabler for different teams rather than a folk who is like trying to understand all the bits and all the bits from the specific technology. Technology is a tool for you to enable different teams to deliver better software, to deliver software faster. And another part of the story that I want to mention here is to be an effective at your job as staff engineer, you're likely to spend a lot of time talking to people. This is kind of like contradictory that we sometimes hear during our discussion, that we didn't become software engineers to talk with people, but fortunately or not, working as a staff means that you need to talk to a lot of people, because you need to convince and need to cooperate with a lot of folks from different teams, you need to cooperate with different stakeholders. And because of that, you need to be very skilled, and also with the social skills. And last quote from Bert is that you have no real influence over how much money sometimes makes, so engineers can be more candid with you. And this is 100% true, and I feel the same when I joined the different companies as consultant, because people are much more honest, much more candid with me, because I'm helping them, but I'm not measuring them. I don't have any influence over their salary, over their promotion. So people are very, very honest with you, and you can use it to actually improve their situation. So, are there any questions regarding insights from Bert? Okay, if not, the last story that I want to share here is from Ritu Vincent, staff engineer at Dropbox. And she described that there are two different profiles of staff engineer at Dropbox, tech lead and specialist. So as you can see, some of the folks works as a typical tech lead, leads a single team, try to achieve different goals, produce a specific part of the product. But some of the folks are work as specialists to solve specific problems related to security, related to performance. So we actually can have two different archetypes within a single company, because you adapt these archetypes to your own situation, to your own organizational perspective, organizational environment. Then there was a very insightful part about reaching staff. That if you want to reach a staff level, you should work on visibility, so to be visible within a company. And part of that came from doing many things outside of your normal engineering responsibilities. So if you want to reach a staff engineer level, you shouldn't be only you should be only solely focused on the responsibilities that you have in hand. So if you work as senior engineer, work specifically with your team, but also try to help different teams, try to be involved in recruitment, and based on that, you will improve your visibility. And she said that I was coding, but not very much, maybe 20% of my time. I spent a lot of time coordinating and improving guidance, partnering with recruiting, onboarding. So as you can, if you want to join staff, if you want to reach staff engineer level to code more, usually you won't when you become a specific staff engineer, because this role is not specific solely on focus on coding, but rather on solving specific problem at scale. And as you can see, it takes a lot of time coordinating with various parties, partnering with recruit on onboarding new folks, because you understand different pieces of the system very well, and you are a good person to onboard different people to the organization. I wanted to share with you these two stories because I think, like, from my perspective, share what is this role of staff engineer about. It's about making a chain with scale, but to reach this specific point, you need to have this visibility. And this role is not solely focused on just coding, but solving different problems. Some are technical, but some are organizational, and some are people-related problems. Do you have any questions to that? Okay, so at the end we have a short summary. So what is this book? What is this book about? So the most important part is connected to the four main archetypes. These archetypes will describe you what this role about and which we can choose to have within our organization. Then staff engineer works in the issue that matters across the company and for your leaders. And we need to understand that to solve problems that are not problems that we perceive as most valuable, but the whole company should perceive them as well. Then my insights from this book is that we should adapt our way of maintaining quality, because there is a range of the techniques that we can use. And last, and almost last, is that in the single company there could be more than one approach to staff engineer, and I encourage you to test the water. What the staff engineer archetype would be most valuable to you. And as the last point, I strongly encourage you to buy the book because it's very valuable. I have mine as a physical book in a bookshelf. So that was all, folks. Thanks for being here. Thanks for these questions. And as a last part, I encourage you. You can join me on Miro to select the last book. There are 5 different books that you can choose on: Software Architecture for Developers, Fundamental Software Architecture, Building Microservice, Accelerate and Modern Software Engineering by David Farley. Or you can write down what are the different books that you want to discuss here. There are points that you can move and discuss different, and we will discuss this book later on. And regarding the meeting, because I want to gain your feedback, there is a part regarding there is a part structured as a ducky exercise. You can give me a feedback in the form of drop. So what kind of part we should drop in this this cycle of meeting, of discussing different books, what we should add, what we should keep, and what we can improve. And I can give you a few minutes to that. And if there are any questions, you can write them down. I'll try to answer them. So I encourage you to join me on Miro, write down what is the next book that I should focus on. And if you have any feedback to me, please join in as well to share what should I drop, add, keep, or improve for this initiative of Engineering Book Club. And of course, you can do it as well after the episode. This board is open to you. You will be able to use it after our stream. So if you watch it after the recording, the link to this board is open, and you can join anytime to either choose a book or give me feedback regarding this episode. So I think it's all. Thanks, folks, for being here, for asking questions, and for the discussion. And I hope that you will have a great time, and see you in next month. Bye-bye.